It's been a horrid 2 years for both the Golden State Warriors fans and the franchise itself, and the reason for that is not too difficult to see. During the 2019-2020 season, the Warriors finished as the worst team in the NBA with a 15-50 record. In the first quarter of that season, they had a record of 4-17, which is good enough for the worst record in the NBA through the first quarter. For one of the greatest teams in the NBA's history, who were coming off a 57-win season and a loss in their 5th straight trip to the NBA Finals, the drop-off was beyond stunning. The next season was supposed to be better, and that horrid season was not supposed to repeat itself, and then it did. What's interesting about this collapse is that the Warriors initially appeared to be well positioned to return to contention in the Western Conference for the 2020-2021 season, especially after earning a second overall pick in the draft. But then, word broke out that Klay Thompson had suffered another major leg injury. This was after the veteran sharpshooter tore his ACL back in June 2019. He once again tore his Achilles in November 2020. It was an awful setback for the Golden State Warriors, and it put a major dent in the team's plans for getting back into the title mix. Given just how important Thompson's role is to the team, there wasn't enough depth to cover up for the loss of a two-way impact player like Klay, whose defensive ability on the wing were missed just as much as the floor spacing and shot-making contributions on offense. It took a superhuman effort from Stephen Curry to send the Warriors to the postseason anyway, but it wasn't enough as the team eventually lost 2 play-in games and finished in the lottery for the second straight season. The Golden State Warriors will once again enter the offseason with the opportunity to not only add some young talent to the roster in the draft, but they will also be looking at the trade market to see if there's any player or players that would add that needed spice to reach the NBA Finals while they wait for Thompson to finish rehabbing a major injury. While it may not seem like it, time appears to be running out for the first team of this franchise. Curry is 33 years old. Thompson and Draymond are both 31. As crazy as it might sound right now, the truth is that the Warriors cannot afford to count on these stars who helped the team win 3 titles during the 2010s to continue producing at their previous or current levels throughout what's left of their careers. This puts the team in a tough and awkward spot. And so, the Warriors will go into the 2021 NBA trade deadline with an impossible mission. It's difficult to say this is exactly how the trade season will go, even though there are clues here and there. But the mission now will be to create a rebirth around their championship core while simultaneously grooming the young players to develop into winning machines. Machines not powered by Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Here are some of the trade rumors and potential summer signings the Warriors could make this offseason. With the return of Klay Thompson next season, the Golden State Warriors are expected to be title contenders once again. And if there's one player in the market that could help fire them to the NBA Finals, it's Ben Simmons. It sure seems like Ben Simmons won't be a member of the Philadelphia 76ers for much longer, and there's a big chance he's headed to the Golden State Warriors. Ever since the 76ers inexcusably dropped a second-round series to the Atlanta Hawks, or even more accurately, ever since they lost the first game of that series, most of the NBA talk related to the team has been centered on Ben Simmons, specifically on if he still has a future in Philadelphia. The good of Simmons has been on display ever since he won Rookie of the Year in his second season. Ben is one of the league's elite passers with the height and athleticism to allow his next-level vision to translate into highlights you'll pay to see. Not only is Ben a talented scorer, but he's also a terrific defender as he finished runner-up in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. He's 24 and has already made the All-Star team thrice, the All-Defensive team twice, and the All-NBA team once. According to multiple reports and sources, the 76ers have engaged with teams on potential trade packages. In addition to that, those sources also added that several NBA teams are looking to sign the soon-to-be 25-year-old. So is there a chance he would end up with the Warriors? Yes. Veteran sports analyst and commentator Stephen A. believes the same thing. Think of a Warriors team with Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Klay, and Wiseman. It's a bomb, and this combo will take the Warriors to the NBA Finals in 2022. Stephen A. himself had this to say about the move. Best move is to get Klay Thompson healthy. You got Klay Thompson back with a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Klay Thompson. That's the best shooting backcourt in the history of basketball. As far as I'm concerned, at least the trip to the conference finals is damn near automatic. By the way, Wiseman is going to be good. Keep Draymond, and I'll tell you if you can, get rid of Wiggins, give up a couple of picks, and go out there and trade that to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons. Put Ben Simmons in Golden State with Klay and Steph and watch what the hell happens. It would be special. They'd win the chip next year as far as I'm concerned. There have also been reports that the Warriors are going to make a trade for Ben Simmons this offseason. However, it remains unlikely whether the Sixers will be willing to part ways with the former number 1 pick without a significant return. Our sources say that the Indiana Pacers offered Malcolm Brogdon and a first-rounder, but Philly declined. The Warriors' 14th and 7th picks in the NBA draft could be enticing for the Sixers, but again, the question remains whether it would be tempting enough for them to be willing to trade Simmons away. However, if one thing is clear, it's that a lineup of Curry, Thompson, Green, and Wiseman would be something really special to watch. I mean, we're looking at a lineup with two incredible defenders and a rising youngster with a high ceiling. The Warriors have a magnificent team, especially when Klay Thompson is back to full fitness. But even with that, there's still a lot of work to be done for them to be considered favorites for the NBA title. And one player who could help them reach that status is none other than Damian Lillard. There have been multiple reports that the Portland Trailblazers superstar and six-time All-Star is not happy with the organization's decision to hire Chauncey Billups to replace Terry Stotts as the head coach. However, Lillard has not exactly requested for a trade, but there's news that the player could look to move on this offseason. The Golden State Warriors appear to be a possible destination for Lillard, and it is believed that the Warriors have already had internal discussions about the idea. The Warriors could use their first-round pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves, along with young pieces like 20-year-old center James Wiseman and 26-year-old former first overall pick Andrew Wiggins, to get a deal done with Portland. Having both Damian Lillard and Curry in the same thing would be fire, as both players are two of the deadliest shooters in the NBA, and together they would easily be the best offensive guard duo in the NBA. To be honest, the deal seems like the type of transaction more likely to play out on 2K than in real life, but there's a big possibility this deal could happen. It's just a matter of this. Do the Warriors try and balance their short and long-term needs by keeping the picks, or do they go all out and win another championship or two in the coming years? Whatever it is, this offseason is bound to be one of the most important in the franchise's history. Bradley Beal will most likely be at the top of the list when looking at players around the NBA that should request a trade. The man has had an unwavering loyalty to the Washington Wizards, but we feel it's about time he leaves the Wizards in search of greener pastures. And that is where the Golden State Warriors come in. Last season, Bradley Beal was phenomenal, averaging 31.3 points per game, but the Wizards haven't had any playoff success in several years now. It is true that the Wizards might be telling everyone in the league now that they have no intention of trading Beal, but if the franchise won't show him a clear path to title contention, you can reason that it's only a matter of time before he follows the footsteps of other superstars and makes his way out of Washington. The trade scenario is likely to include 4 first-round picks for Beal, and the Warriors will also have to sacrifice Wiseman as part of the deal. This looks like the best option for the Wizards, especially if they are serious about reclaiming their throne as the best team in the league and revive their dynasty in the 2021-22 NBA season. Adding Beal's shot creation and scoring to Curry, Green, Draymond, and a healthy Klay Thompson gives them an automatic path back to title contention. Beal's potential arrival in Golden State would fulfill the franchise's dream of adding a fourth superstar. The move would also bring a significant improvement with their performance on the offensive end of the court. He would give the Warriors one of the league's active shooters. But that's not all to Beal. He's also a great playmaker and elite three-point shooter. This will be a very interesting move, and if we were in the office of the Golden State right now, this is the deal we would be pushing for. Given Beal's ability to save the floor and excel in an off-ball situation, he won't have a hard time sharing the court with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Stephen Curry. There's no denying that Kawhi Leonard will be disappointed with how the season ended for him and his team. After reaching the Western Conference Finals, the Clippers were eventually beaten and eliminated by the Phoenix Suns. Leonard couldn't, of course, participate in the game, missing the entire series against the Suns due to injury, an injury he suffered during Game 4 of the semifinal against the Utah Jazz, tearing his ACL in the process. The former Toronto Raptor underwent a successful surgery on the 13th of July, but there's been no official word on his return to the team. The Clippers claimed the injury was a sprain, and while it was not the biggest of injuries, the recovery process will not be as short as anticipated. Kawhi Leonard has a clause in his contract which allows him to be a free agent this summer. Even though it looks unlikely that Leonard will decide to opt out of the Clippers, nothing can be ruled out. And if he eventually decides to part ways with the Clippers, many teams will be interested, including the Golden State Warriors. Given the current squad that the Warriors have, and with Klay Thompson returning, many people would consider it ridiculous to the Warriors side if they considered to go for Leonard. But think about it. If Leonard decides and eventually joins the Warriors setup, the three men would form a splash trio and would completely destroy the league. So will the Warriors be able to pull off one of the biggest steals in NBA history by acquiring Kawhi Leonard? Or will the Clippers manage to retain their star player? Only time will tell. Do let us know in the comments if you think this is a good move for both the franchise and the player, as well as what effect the move would have on the league in general. 26 months ago, the Warriors watched as Pascal Siakam tore them apart on the game's biggest stage. The player, who was 25 at the time, put all his skills and talent on display in dicing up the Warriors, hitting 32 points on 14 for 17 shooting in the Toronto Raptors Game 1 in the 2019 Finals. It's interesting to also point out that Siakam's 82.4 percentage in Game 1 marked the best shooting game of any player who took at least 15 shots against the Warriors during their 5 straight NBA Finals runs. Siakam totally destroyed the Warriors in transition, was 9 for 10 in the paint, 5 for 7 from three-point range, and scored half of his points when Draymond Green was his primary defender. The performance from Siakam would eventually set the stage for the Raptors' 6-game NBA Finals, which sent the Warriors looking for answers after KD's departure. That search has continued to this offseason, with the Warriors having missed the playoffs for 2 seasons straight. Ridiculous, right? But that's the reality of the Golden State Warriors right now, and that's why this offseason needs to be perfect for them. And the man who 2 years ago put on a good show to end the Warriors' run might be the best case scenario. Isn't that how they say it? If you can't beat them, join them? Except in this case, it's if you can't beat him, then trade for him. Considering all the names we've mentioned, from Kawhi Leonard to Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, and Ben Simmons, it seems the best case scenario for the Warriors this offseason might be Siakam. The 6'9" forward has the versatility to play 3 through 5. He can operate without the ball in his hands. He's a great defender, and he's at his best when he's second or third option, as he most likely will be behind a healthy Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry. Siakam is the perfect Warriors player, and that's a fact. He's versatile, intelligent, a good shot creator, a lot to handle in transition, and at 27, he would be entering the prime of his career. But the question remains if the Raptors will be really interested in blowing up their little project and going full-scale rebuild around Wiseman, 2 lottery picks, OG Anunoby, and Fred VanVleet. Let's even imagine they are. Will they be interested in Wiggins and believe that Wiseman has a brilliant future ahead of him? 2 years ago, Siakam ran the show against the Warriors, putting on a solid performance on the game's biggest stage on one of the greatest teams of all time in the NBA, announcing himself to the world. Now, Siakam might be the Warriors' best chance to reignite the embers of a dying dynasty he helped cripple. Whatever happens, the fact remains that this will be one of the most important off-seasons in the history of the Golden State. They still have 2 or 3 years of Curry at this level. Do they go all out to sign a superstar in the league and win 1 or 2 titles? Or do they start focusing on rebuilding a dynasty that's on its way into history? Whatever it is, our fingers remain crossed. And trust us to get you all the latest news and details about the Golden State Warriors and their off-season moves. Comment below to let us know your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another one of our videos. We'll see you next time, latest Hoops fans. Until then, keep shooting your shot.